might have seen me in the Escort having a bit of fun. You might have seen me take Motoradic Stu for a spin. And he really rated it. But in this video, I'm going to try and answer all the questions that I've had over the winter, go for a little drive, we'll flip to and from the workshop, and we'll get right to it. Right, it's been a bit of a long winter. I haven't had a chance. I think I've had about 2 days on the Escort over the winter, so I haven't got done what I wanted to get done, but it's still running, it's still driving. And I'm going to do the video that I've been telling quite a few people that I'm going to do for a while. So it's not a full how-to video. I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs, but I'm just going to show you what I've done, tell you what I've done, because I've had quite a lot of questions and people getting in touch over the winter wanting to know what engine, what gearbox, and it tends to be all the same questions. So I thought if I put a video out there, it's not the best way how to fit an EcoBoost, it's not the only way, but it's the way that I've done it, and I'm just going to let you know what I've done. So if you want to do the project on your own Escort, you can. So first things first, have a long hard stare at your Escort bulkhead and decide whether you want to smash a grinder through it. So I suggest if you've got an original mint RS2000, it's going to be quite a hard thing. You're going to devalue your car, so yeah, have a long hard think. If you've got a rusty bulkhead, most of you have, if you've got an old 4-door, whatever, you know, it'll make the decision a hell of a lot easier. If you're in there anyway, putting a big tunnel in, sorting a bulkhead out, why not fit an EcoBoost? So you've decided you want to chop the bulkhead out. I'll insert a picture of mine here. So it's quite a big hole. We've got to sit the engine a little bit back, and there's other reasons, so we'll get to that in a bit. So engine choices. The engine I've gone for, 2.3 Mustang EcoBoost engine. But you've got options out there. The engines, you know, the Mustang engine's a little bit tricky to come by, but they're still out there. But they're all based, what people don't realise, they're all based on a Duratec engine. You know, people give it on a hard wet belt and this and that, but it's a timing chain engine, the same as, you know, it's based on the 2 litre Duratec that everyone fits in Escorts. So your options are out there. You've got the Mustang EcoBoost engine, the 2.3. Focus RS engine, but then you've also got things like the 2 litre in the Focus ST250. It's all based on a Duratec, so you've got that as an option. The reason I've gone for the Mustang engine, it's got the correct orientation inlet manifold, so it faces forward. You don't necessarily need that, that's what I wanted. You can fit them inlets on the 2 litres. And the Mustang Turbo is forward facing, which gives room for the mount. So I've used Mustang mounts. So what I'll probably do is insert some pictures here as well of the mounts and how I've done it. I've welded some small blocks on the chassis legs, used Mustang mounts, and it just sat perfectly between the chassis legs, so why not do it? Obviously your other options, if you do run an ST250 engine, you'll probably have to get some tubular chassis mounts and get some plates made. There's companies out there that you've got in America, you've got Gem Sport, Stroud Performance. There's a few companies that make mounts and various bits and plates, so you know, it's all doable. I'm not going to teach you step by step, but I'll insert a picture, show you what I did, and I found it quite easy, so maybe try it that way. Alright, I'm going to move this boost pipe out of the way, and then we can see the engine mount. I'm going to get my phone propped up, and I'll explain. So as you can see here, these are the original alloy cast sort of mounting points that come off the ECOBOOST block. This part here, this is upgraded Mustang mounts. They're Mustang 2.3 ECOBOOST mounts. And what I've done down here, as you can see, I've welded 2 solid blocks, 40mm by 40mm, to a small section of angle that I've also welded around the chassis leg. That's 30mm by 30mm by 3mm. I drilled and tapped these 2 blocks here and here. So obviously I've got my bolt holes to thread straight into the blocks. But like I say, the blocks are 40mm by 40mm, and the bit of angle that I've put on the chassis leg is 30 by 30 down the chassis leg, just to give it a bit of extra support. So let's flip back to the driving. Right, next up, obviously we had to move it that far back because we've got the high pressure fuel pump and the vacuum pump, which I've deleted anyway, but we've got that on the back of the cylinder head. So we've had to make room, lose the heater bowl. Like I say, most of your heater bowls and bulkheads are rotten anyway if you're mid-project, so not too much of a drama. So you've chose your engine, you've decided you're going to get a grinder to your bulkhead. There's a few more things you need to know. So, the sump on an ECOBOOST engine is too deep. It's like that. It's never going to fit there with a cross member. They run in the ECOBOOST a balance shaft. It's a great big assembly in the sump. You're going to have to remove that. All you need to do is remove that, get the sump off, unbolt the balance shaft itself, and you can get a balance shaft delete. It's just a little bung that blocks the hole up, that supplies the oil to the balance shaft, which we haven't got no more. It's about 30 quid. I'll upload a picture of that here. So, with that deleted, we also, because we need to fit a slim sump. So, the slim sump I used is a retro Ford sump, and obviously, as we're based on a Duratec retro Ford sump, the slim line fits in there, but to fit that you also need the oil pump to match. So the oil pump, the strainer and the sump, and then that then gives you all the clearance you need to fit the ECOBOOST in the Mark II Escort. Well, I'm getting a little bit bored, so I'm going to have to give it a little bit of a send, unfortunately, so we'll see how this goes. The roads ain't the best at the moment, but gets the heart racing nonetheless. Jeez, this thing's an animal, man. Didn't expect it to go that sideways. Right. So moving on. Gearbox. The gearbox I've got in this is a Mazda MX-5 NC gearbox. So it's out of the later MX-5s, which is the MX-5 NC. The gearbox is an N7. If you know, the MX-5, later MX-5, is also a Duratec engine. So the MX-5 gearbox bolts straight onto the back of an ECOBOOST engine. Whether it take the power, whether it won't, well, it's in there. And I've done quite a bit with it, you know, so let's give it a chance. It bolts straight up, like I said. I had to use a tilted gear lever from Retro Ford once again, but this is all just Duratec stuff. Because the gearbox sits at a slight angle, I don't want the gear lever in the passenger seat. So we've got a tilted gear stick, which straightens it up. Yeah, like I say, it's all just Duratec bits. Once again, flywheel, clutch, whatever options you've got for a Duratec. Your EcoBoost is a Duratec, so you've got options there. You've paddle clutches, lighter clutches, flywheels, whatever. I've got my bits through Retro Ford. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but that's just the bits I've got and it's working, so I'm letting you know. I went for a paddle clutch because it's the one that's going to take the power basically. So, you know, we're up at 350, 373, I don't know, horsepower, and this clutch seems to be holding. I've done some runs at Manston Raceway, 130 mile an hour passes. I've done Santa Pod, and it's holding together. So that's what I'm using. Right, so a quick flip back to the workshop while we're on the subject of gearboxes. So I'm just showing you that we've used the standard MX5 slave, MX5 fork. But there's one thing you've got to modify to make the clearance. Let me get my torch in there. If you can see just inside there, there is, hold on, where's my torch? There is a pivot point that the clutch fork pivots on. That sits out too far, which makes the fork touch the clutch. So where that screws in needs to be shaved down about 10 mil. Obviously do a bit at a time, and that'll give you the clearance. Right, we've got a bit of a tunnel here, so I've got to make a little noise. It'd be rude not to. Can you see, man? Right, what was we on to next? So we've gone through engine choices, bulkhead chopping, N7 gearbox out of an MX5, prop shaft, Bailey Morris, custom made, 300 quid, wiring. So next up we move on to wiring. Now this tends to scare a lot of people, including me. I'm no electrician, I'm no wiring guru, but this is simple as hell. I used a ANT steering electronics. He's the guy that builds it in Portugal. He does various bits for EcoBoost engine. Check him out. It's a standard ECU. It's a standard wiring loom from a Mustang EcoBoost. ANT does an adapter loom, and what I'll do is I'll maybe insert some pictures or maybe a little video itself talking with the wiring, I say wiring diagram, but with the booklet that he supplied. Now it's simple as anything, like you can connect it up in 10 minutes, it's no drama. So here's the ANT wiring instructions. I'm not going to go too deep, but I'm just going to show you the simplicity and how easy it is from its instructions. So I'm running the standard Mustang loom. This is the adapter loom that ANT make. Comes with the connectors ready to plug on. One of the plugs goes onto the ECU, this one here. And then obviously we have the plug from the standard wiring loom on the car. I've got it running through to the bulkhead, and that goes to the ECU. All the other connectors plug on, and then I'm just going to show you the simplicity. So here, black wire to ground, red wire to 12 volts, and then we've got an ignition supply, brown wire to the starter, and a blue wire to the fuel pump. And then other than that, everything plugs in. So you've just got a few wires that need connecting. You've got the plug that goes through to the pedal. So I'll show you the pedal. You obviously need a Mustang pedal, and then it'll all just clip in. And then other than your few wires there that you've got to connect up, that's it. That's as simple as that. So just showing you my Mustang pedal in the bit of box section going between the pedal box and the inner wing. and then mounted it to that. Right, so my fuel pump set up. That's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just a regular fuel pump. It's a Cytec one that I got. People use 044s or, you know, equivalent, or Bosch 200s. It's just mounted in the tank. Sorry, it's just mounted in the boot with the alley tank. It's just an injection style fuel pump that is supplying the high pressure fuel pump, which is on the back of the cylinder head. So it's nothing that your normal project car wouldn't have. And all it is the wire from the ANT kit, one wire to the back, giving it the power with an earth in the boot. That is literally it. There's nothing more to the fuel than that. Right, now I'm just going to try and go over anything that I can think of. Little bits that I had to do. The intake pipe. I made a real short stack intake pipe. It has an intake temperature sensor on it. And where it's a short, it was picking up so much heat. Now if you look on the Mustang, the intake pipe runs all the way across the engine bay to the cold side where the intake temperature sensor is. So it picks up the cold air that you're drawing in. I was having problems with plugs wetting, or it was pulling the time in, or it was doing some funny stuff. And I was feeling that intake pipe, and you could fry an egg on it. And that's no good for the intake temperature, seeing that. So I thought, it's got to be something to do with that. So I run the intake pipe under the engine, and the intake temperature sensor right out of the way, getting all that cold air. And since then, never had a problem since. It's been perfect. To help with the temperatures as well, I also chucked a Funk Motorsport turbo blanket on it, and that's just kept the engine bay temperatures a hell of a lot cooler, and it's kept it running nice. Obviously my plugs I haven't had an issue with since, so it's obviously it obviously worked, and it obviously needed it. Intercooler that I've used, I had a guy, Colin from Creative Aluminium Fabrications up north. He bespoke made one, but he done it for us without even having the car. So, you know, I sent him some measurements on a gave him a Duratec. Obviously he's worked with Duratecs before. So he done me a really large intercooler up front and radiator pack. Done an excellent job. I've never had a problem with charge temperatures. Absolutely perfect. You feel the throttle body side after the intercooler, and it is frosty. Like, it's going in hot, coming out ice cold. That's exactly what you want. So that's perfect. He's done a great job on that. So I'd recommend him. I've sent another guy to him already. Actually, he's doing the same project, and he's going to have the same intercooler made, and it does the trick. It works absolutely perfect. So I recommend that. Still, the tyres ain't getting any temperature in them, so that's a little bit leery, but at least it's bone dry and the sun's out, so we're out there enjoying it. If you've got any further questions you can ask, or anything that I forgot, like I say, I've only tried keeping it basic. I've not gone deep, I haven't done the ins and outs, but it gives you a good head start on if you fancy doing it. And what I can recommend is, well, you've seen the videos, do it. Like, a standard engine that can just make this power, and it's not too much drama to get in. And what I've found over the years, once you start messing with things, pulling things apart, changing rings, head gaskets, honing bores, like, so many variables with these EcoBoost engines. stock. You buy a stock engine. Don't touch it. Stick it in. Like, the off the pedal power is unbelievable. Like, if you want to come for a spin, don't believe me, come for a spin. Give me a shout. We'll go out for a spin. They drive how you want a motor to drive. There's no real lag. Yeah, it's got power all the way to the red line. So yeah, if there's anything I've missed, get in the comments. I'll try and help you as best I can. I've got a few people that I'm chatting with at the moment that have jumped on it. They're on the ECOBOOST as well. And I've been messaging, trying to send pictures, trying to explain. So if I can just watch this video together and just go, here's the link, and just have a look through that. It'll give you a better insight into how easy it is and how well these things go. And hopefully I'll see a few more out there, and maybe we can do a bit of racing up Santa Pod. We're up Manston Raceway this year, that's now open, and we can see more of these old beasts flying about with some different conversions in there, making things a bit interesting. So until next time, get in the comments, give us a like and subscribe.